Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Repurpose Your Purpose podcast. My name is Aurora Minigallo, and this is the first episode of the 2025 season of my podcast. If you're new to Repurpose Your Purpose, I work with individuals and groups to help you open up to your own inner wisdom and do the work you love, whether you're a job seeker or somebody running a business, a leader at an organization. There is a way of working, and of course, there is what you do for work that is in line with your calling, your vocation, your purpose, your values. And then there is everything else. And sometimes, if we haven't found yet what we are supposed to do, or if, well, we're doing what we're supposed to do, but we're in the wrong environment, or we quite don't yet understand ourselves or how to be with others, we can experience a lot of pain. So I've dedicated my work to really help anybody who needs it, who resonates with what I'm saying, being in alignment with themselves and doing the work they love and enjoy. All right, so I have to admit, I've been feeling really weird about recording this podcast episode because I live in Los Angeles and this is the second day of the fires that you've heard about on the news. Luckily, I am safe, although the air quality, even with the windows closed, is terrible, and I have a couple of people sheltering with me. But it's heavy. Sometimes you do this work and you think like, how I'm in awe of the people really battling the fires and showing up in emergency situations and really um, helping people in need. So I'm feeling a lot of gratitude, and yeah, it really feels like I want to acknowledge all the suffering that's going on right now in Los Angeles because that's my home. But of course, also everywhere else in the world, there's a lot of suffering. So I won't be talking about that. You're here for repurpose your purpose. And what I want to talk about today is my intention for 2025 in a way that I hope will inspire you to think about the theme, to think about how you want to approach your work and or your search for your vocation in the coming year. So every year, at the end of the year, I release a workbook to help you reflect on the year that just passed and think about the year coming. So when I have that in the notes for this episode, you can still download. It's a free workbook. You download it, and my recommendation is to take some time and really answer all the questions and give yourself, the space to really be with your deeper knowing. And every year for me, my inner wisdom, what I call source, really shows me what I want the quote unquote theme, overarching intention or theme for the year to be. And this year it took a little bit longer for me to feel it. But I was sick and I wrote a blog post about that experience and what came up for me. I had a lot of thoughts, and what really came up for me is as something that creates a lot of suffering for a lot of people when it comes to doing work they love is really how inhumane and transactional and mechanical and over intellectual we have created a lot of our systems, our work, our environments. And so for me, the overarching theme for 2025 is being more human. Humanity is really what do I mean by being more human? Is really getting clear and accepting and actually leaning into how messy we are as human beings, how imperfect, how much we need each other, how what real really is. I don't mean real as in, again, like, the facts and all that kind of stuff. No, I mean like really real, like how do you feel? How do I feel, right? So today I want to talk about this because a conversation I have very often with people is either how to recognize a company to work with that is a good fit for them, or if they're leaders, how to create a company that feels good, to them in leadership, but also to the people working with them and for them. And I, so I spent a lot of time, I have to tell you, I spent a lot of time thinking about this. And it really came to me the past few weeks about you want a place that feels very human to you. Very human. Okay, so what does that mean, human? Um, well, how are people treated when they're sick? Is it a place that pushes you to work when you're sick and doesn't really recognize the fact that, hey, we all get sick sometimes, or people have different needs, or you know, like how do you, first of all, how do you see it for yourself, right? Because usually the way you see it for yourself is the way you see it with other people. So do you have a tendency to put yourself down, if you cannot perform, go 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 go? Like, are you a machine or are you a human being, right? And so that to me is a big thing now to really think about. So I will put that in the category of being human. So another theme that has been very present for me the past few weeks is really thinking about how different we all are, and how I want to be in spaces, and I want to cultivate more and more of this understanding that it's through our differences that we create something exponentially, I don't want to say better, but like really wonderful, right? Create magic. So what do I mean? One of my pet peeves, it's a huge pet peeve, so I'm really trying hard not to go on a rant here. One of my pet peeves is this communication that comes from quote unquote the experts that always tries to find the one way for everybody to be. Like, what's the best what is the best time to sleep, or how many hours should you sleep? And it's always like this one answer that will work for everybody. Obviously some people are not down this path, but I would say mainstream content is full of these kind of things, right? How do you find work you love? Let me tell you the secret formula that will work for everybody, that we've studied, and this is it, like this sort of like there's one way to be human. It's the optimized way. If you work really hard, maybe you'll get there, otherwise you're a failure. Or let me sell you a little bit more self-development. Okay, see, I went on a rant. It's a big thing for me. I really think that is wrong. It's wrong. Now, there are a few things, that are universal. Like, if you were never to sleep, okay, you would, that wouldn't work for anybody. But we're all different. And we're all different, and for a reason, because it's by coming together. We need all sorts of people. We need people that have more sensitive nervous systems, need more quiet, and feel more deeply certain feelings, certain energies. And we need people that can get into much more high intensity situations, or who thrive with bigger challenges, or like, we need all sorts of people. And now I start to value a lot, and I would suggest you keep top of your mind, again, whether you're creating an organization or looking to be part of one, is how high is this understanding in yourself and in other people? Like, are you in an environment where people are quite blind to the fact that there are differences? are you in an environment where there's a lot of hierarchies? So, oh yes, if you like to collaborate a lot and you can answer 200 emails a day, you're great. But if you need alone time and you're quiet, then then you're not good. Like, like, are you in an environment where it's understood that we need different people doing different things? I'm really starting to see this as one of the major reasons why we're creating so many dysfunctional places and why we have so many bad experiences, right? Because by default, we, understand our experiences better than we understand other people's experiences, right? And in fact, not only we have blind spots for ourselves, we might have blind spots. We even have bigger blind spots on what other people's experiences are. Um, So I think it's super important to cultivate this awareness and this really understanding of the synergy that comes from differences, right? Knowing that bottom line, yes, there's a universality to the human experience, right? So bottom line, there's a part of us, we're all the same, but with all these different ways of being. So, for example, for me, there are people that can do certain things, like with their hands, for example, build something is amazing. I don't have the skills. I don't, for me, it's very hard, and same, like I imagine somebody that maybe has more trouble sharing things in stories or with their words, maybe they'll look at what I do and it seems amazing, right? Well, we need everything. We need everybody. We need you. And so I think being human is really also recognizing, being in an environment that's more human, creating an environment that's more human. It's really recognizing this, the power that comes and the beauty that comes from our differences. Something else that for me, I really put under this umbrella of humanity, being human, in 2025 is more acceptance, deep, deep acceptance for mistakes, deep, deep acceptance for, imperfections. Um, Really, what is perfect? What never makes mistakes? What is rigid? You know, well, a machine is a robot is. In fact, we know machines make mistakes too, right? But that's what it makes me think. And I don't know you. I grew up in an environment that was very perfectionistic, and I had terrible, horrible self-esteem deep down. Mistakes would really get to me, and I had to work a long time to take risks, to even speak in front of people because of the absolute terrifying fear I would feel. You know, um, I don't know how it is in Italy now. I haven't lived there in a long time, but when I went to school, you had these oral exams all the time, and you went in front of your entire class and you were asked questions by the teacher and you had to answer. And I was good at school, so it was still terrifying for me. But I was good at school and I could still do and speak in front of people. Sometimes some of my classmates, you could tell they were, for them, it was really, really so much more traumatic to have that experience, or maybe they were struggling with subject matters and then feel everybody would see, some mistakes. Whether you did well or not, I found that practice was so just really hard, and in a way, because it was a shared experience, you can say, well, you'll see everybody else make mistakes, so at least it was that. But to me right now, it seems so awful. as a coach, as somebody that works with people, the idea of asking questions and say, oh, you answer right or you answer wrong in front of all your peers, and then assign, a grade that really show how quote unquote smart you are. Like, it just seems so awful, you know, instead of being human, which is like, how can we help somebody learn? How can we help somebody feel they are heard, they're listened to, they can express themselves? How can we value the fact that some people, um, are good at one thing and not good at another, and that's okay because again, we need all sorts. I found as an adult and being, myself a client of coaches, or having studied with some in some environments, non-traditional, I would say, very non-traditional environments, where the emphasis is not in grading, and in not making mistakes. The emphasis is really in what counts, which is in learning. I felt so much shame, um, just drop. And it never fully goes away, because if I'm dealing with somebody that gets very pushy and critical, I can still be triggered sometimes in this horrible, horrible, low self-esteem and self-judgment and so forth. So really being human, it's like you're looking for a company. How do they even, like, are they interested in you growing? Like, are they creating an environment that's really keeps the eye on what really matters? Or is there a lot of shame and blame you know and what are you creating? And so let's say, you're in a situation where, look, you're not doing your job well, or you hire somebody, you work with somebody, and they are not doing their job well, right? So I'll admit it can be challenging. Um, there's a whole other topic about money and work and all that kind of stuff that is not for this episode. But I think there's a difference in, again, seeing, well, we're all different and maybe this is not a good fit. And we'll remember it's all human beings. And even if maybe tempers flare, we'll find a way back to remembering that, okay, it's tough sometimes finding the right place, and sometimes we'll try in good faith and it's not a good fit. Versus again, shaming and blaming and you know. So human, being more human, being in environments that are more human, recognizing we're all human beings. This is really what 2025 is about for me. I feel like work is so important. Like, to me, doing what you love is so important to your happiness. And when I say work, I really encompass anything, like what you're doing in life. For some people that might be caregiving, raising a family. That might be, something that they do. They might have a part-time job that pays them enough, and then they have a vocation that doesn't pay that much, but that's what they love. So work for me, has a very broad definition, but it's really how you like to spend your time, what you feel like creating or bringing in the world, or contributing to, or being part of, is so important. It's so important. And I want to not only see work for individual people, right? For you, if you're listening to this, but also I think part of that is we all understand and we all work together to make it a better experience, create better systems. It's not something that one person is going to solve for everybody, and it's not something that you want to stop, or at least for me, I don't want to stop just thinking, okay, it's one person. I think the more of us understand what works for us, find that place, connect to this humanity, I think the more chances are to help others create organizations and spaces and finding jobs that works for them. So I'm gonna leave it at that. It's yeah, it's an interesting time to be alive. Let's put it that way. And I think courage is something that we're all gonna need in 2025. But what, keeps me in the game and what keeps me hopeful is that I know there are so many people out there working towards making the world a little bit better. And that includes honoring what works in the world already, right? And honoring each other. So, what's your theme for 2025? What do you want to create? What's your intention? What are you up to? And let me know if you want in the comments. All right. So, I'm Aurora Menigallo. This is the Repurpose Your Purpose podcast. If you like it, like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're on YouTube, or join my newsletter. And I will see you shortly, soon, with another episode of the Repurpose Your Purpose podcast.